financially mostly, from what I see. Because it's all about everyone wants to be a big shot, but they got to pay the price. They have to know how to handle defeat.
Is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference, almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Into that.
I don't know what's going to happen with a 135-pounder going up against a 200-pounder. I think it's not a real fight.
Mike Tyson isn't holding back on Jake Paul's latest claim about beating Gervonta Tank Davis. The former heavyweight champion, famous for both his brutal honesty and devastating punches, tore into Paul after the YouTuber-turned-boxer suggested he could defeat one of the most dangerous fighters in boxing today. Tyson, who has at times praised Jake while also calling him out, made it clear. Stepping into the ring with a pound-for-pound talent like Davis is no joke. He reminded Jake that there's still a massive difference between being an internet star and reaching true boxing greatness.
Quite surprised because it sounded like Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua was getting closer and closer for January. However, there have been rumours of Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul in the past. I think with Gervonta Davis's kind of legal problems in the last month or so and rumours about his retirement, I don't think it's a massive shock that he is taking this Jake Paul fight if it is going to go ahead, purely for the reason that it's a lot of money for maybe not the most difficult job that he's going to have in his career. So it's a strange one, but yeah, it's just another kind of day in the sport, really, isn't it?
The fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis is officially scheduled for November 14th at the Kaseya Center in Miami, Florida. Originally, the event was set for Atlanta, but it was moved after the Georgia Athletic and Entertainment Commission raised concerns about the large weight gap between the fighters.
Oh my days. Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. Is this real? This can't be real. Because he was talking about fighting Joshua, which is heavyweight, and now he's saying about fighting Tank. Nah, this can't be. It's Netflix as well. I need to go and do some checks and see if like the main pages have posted this, but Jake Paul's posted it. It says Friday, November 14th. It's in Atlanta, State Farm Arena. This is random, no?
Jake Paul comes into the match with 12 wins on his record, 7 by knockout, and 1 loss. He's turned his fame as a social media influencer into a serious boxing career, taking on high-profile crossover fights while building his brand through business ventures.
People are like so fucking insecure. Kind of lost myself in the whole entertainment world. And so when I found boxing, it gave me that like routine, that discipline. I got to like take time for myself in these boxing camps. And every day for training, I had to like meditate. And boxing gave me the ability to like reflect on myself and like realizing who I was and who I wanted to be. And that helped me mature. You get addicted to that validation from others. And that's something that I realized that I had to face. And like, why do so many people want clout? I'm not good enough. I need followers. I need likes. It's driving a lot of our generation because they're working so hard to get this external validation.
Gervonta Davis, on the other hand, is undefeated with 30 wins, 1 draw, and plenty of knockouts. He currently holds the WBA lightweight title, but that belt won't be on the line in this fight because of the size difference. The match is officially being billed as an exhibition, meaning certain rules like rounds, weight limits, and regulations are more flexible depending on which boxing commission signs off on it.
25 is at the next year. I'm out of it.
After our second fight. You're out of it?
Yeah.
Care to elaborate on that?
Out of the sport.
After our second fight. Nah, no, I'm gonna win, bro.
Nah, I could tell you my fights.
Who do you think will win between Jake Paul and Gervonta?
But I don't know. It should be Gervonta, right? But the weight size and everything, we'll see. It's a fun entertainment.
Mike Tyson, who has already shared the ring with Jake Paul, has urged Paul to be extremely cautious as he prepares for Davis. Tyson knows firsthand what it's like to face Paul's size and intensity, but he also knows the serious threat Davis poses. While Jake may have youth and size on his side, Tyson believes Tank's speed, skill, and knockout power make him a dangerous opponent regardless of the weight difference. Tyson warned that Jake might be underestimating just how risky this fight could be. For Tyson, the event may draw headlines, but Jake has to consider the long-term risk to his career and health.
I think Gervonta Davis is probably the greatest fighter around now, but he's got a tough fight coming up. You know, he's the top dog, there's no doubt about it. He showed that. But Barrios, he's a pretty good fighter. Last time I saw him fight, he was pretty durable.
Promoter Eddie Hearn has also voiced major concerns. He says the matchup isn't just a spectacle, it could turn into something dangerous. Hearn warns that the fight's imbalance in size and risk might leave Paul seriously hurt. While he admits the money and public attention are huge, he believes the danger outweighs the reward. Hearn gave the fight 50-50 odds, but stressed that Jake isn't just putting his record on the line, he's risking his physical well-being.
We know that Gervonta's going to fight Jake Paul in November, and then we'll see what happens if there's an AJ fight. Be interested to go from Gervonta Davis to Anthony Joshua, but I don't think the Chavez fight is terrible. I think it's a smart bit of business.
I think it's extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. You know, I've got the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please, AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua. I think that's the only reason we're going to see this fight, but I truly believe you're going to see it at the beginning of 2026.
Former super middleweight world champion Carl Froch is also sounding alarms. He's highlighted an estimated 65-pound weight gap between the two men. Paul has recently fought near the cruiserweight limit of about 200 pounds, while Davis fights at lightweight around 135 pounds.
I mean, I don't really take Jake Paul that serious. He can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. He swings away, stands up straight, and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, he does so much wrong. It's just everything's wrong. It's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like, you put him in with someone his own size, it was a professional, and it's a mismatch. And you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him, he's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced. He's got no amateur pedigree. He's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'd do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level, and then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds. It's like totally different. It's like a different sport.
Froch argued that in a normal boxing setting, this fight would never be licensed because the risk is too great. He noted that Davis has never faced punches from someone as big as Paul, and that a single heavy shot, especially a wild swing from Jake, could cause serious harm.
My name was mentioned at his press conference and he shit himself, and the fight was just absolutely fucking diabolical. Again, I've said before, he's not a professional boxer, he never will be, and he proves time and time again that he's not a professional fighter. So, Jake Paul, go on, piss off.
Even though Froch believes Davis has the skill, movement, and fight IQ to control stretches of the match, he doubts Tank has the power to truly hurt Paul. Still, Froch thinks the unnatural weight advantage makes the fight dangerous, regardless of skill.
Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we've just spoke about. What next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been played? Let me know what you think. But the AJ fight with Jake Paul's finished. Gervonta Davis, fake Paul, November. I don't know what's going on in the world of boxing. This is an absolute joke. What next for AJ? We'll get into this, and there's so many questions I want to get into in the next episode, but hope you enjoyed this one. And yeah, I just thought I'd give you a quick update because the news has just come in, and I'm just trying to relax and play a bit of golf, and I can't. I've got to get it off my chest. I'm going to add it to this video. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit like, share, and subscribe to the best channel in the business, Froch on Fighting, and we'll see you very soon.
Meanwhile, Chael Sonnen doesn't see it as such a mismatch. On his YouTube channel, he said, "It's not as bad a fight as people think." He compared it to the earlier talk about Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua, pointing out that this fight is more realistic. However, Sonnen added that Davis doesn't know how to sell a fight. According to him, Tank struggles with promoting and hyping up matchups, which could hurt the marketing of the event.
The exact opposite has happened. The opposite of fighting Anthony Joshua is not fighting nobody. The opposite of fighting Anthony Joshua is fighting Tank Davis. Okay, so there's one big glaring issue for me. It's just your partner being Tank Davis. Tank is not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. It could be a title fight, a contenders fight, a main event fight. He could be the favorite, he could be the underdog. Tank doesn't know how to bring that information to you guys in a way that is compelling. And Tank is already blinking in this situation. You have one guy who is argued amongst the pound for pound current greats in boxing. You have another guy that has suggested he should not even be allowed to box, that he should have to call it something different. He should not be licensed. He should not be ranked in the top 14. He should never be selected for a world title. Okay.
Joe Rogan has repeatedly defended Jake Paul's credibility as a boxer. He argues that most criticisms are rooted in Jake's celebrity background rather than his actual performances. Rogan says Paul has shown real technique, power, and clean execution in his fights. While many dismissed him early on, Rogan believes people are slowly starting to recognize Jake as a legitimate boxer.
If Jake Paul wasn't Jake Paul, if he wasn't this YouTube guy,
Right.
he was just a boxer, and you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever, knock him out with one punch like that, you'd be like, oh man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? He's fucking for real. Because nothing about watching him fight, to me, screams like he's in over his head. Nothing. He looks like a real boxer.
But critics see it differently. They point to Paul's recent win over a 58-year-old Mike Tyson as proof that his career choices are more spectacle than sport. Many, including Carl Froch, say beating an aging legend doesn't prove much, and question whether Paul is truly serious about competing at the highest level.
Jake Paul, you've lost your mind if you think you can go toe-to-toe with Anthony Joshua. Listen, let's not get confused, guys. Let's not get confused. Yes, cool. Anthony, he took a big L with Daniel Dubois. But Daniel Dubois is not no joke, bro. It's not a joke. You know what I'm trying to say? He took a L there, but Jake Paul, I got the utmost respect. What he's done, how he's managed to navigate through the boxing world. Like, bro, it's so mad. And I can see this is like a 90%. It's happening, it's positioning, it's marketing already. Like, why would you see Jake Paul go face to face with Alexander Usyk if it's not to position for a fight for Saudi? Obviously, Jake Paul's gonna fight Anthony Joshua. There's possibly gonna be a Usyk against Tyson Fury 3 because obviously the last two were so close. But you never know. It can also be a Usyk against Derek Chisora. Do you know what I mean? You never know.
Rumors are also swirling about Jake Paul facing Anthony Joshua in early 2026. Paul's manager, Naxa Badarian, confirmed that talks are underway, with Wembley Stadium and other major venues being considered. Paul has repeatedly called out Joshua, insisting he could shock the world by pulling off an upset.
Everyone's been wanting to see happen. Who will be the king of the United Kingdom? And who will be the queen of the United... Too soon? I'm praying that boxing doesn't happen to this fight, and what I mean by that is politics. People trying to take more money than they deserve. Fuck the money, get in there, make fucking history. This is one of the biggest fights that could happen over this past decade. Make it fucking happen, Eddie Hearn. Make it fucking happen, Frank Warren. Make it happen, Tyson. Make it happen, Anthony Joshua. We don't need fucking excuses. Don't let boxing ruin this fight. Get in the fucking ring and fight like men.
Joshua's promoter, Eddie Hearn, has admitted the fight could generate massive buzz and money. But critics warn Joshua risks damaging his reputation by fighting someone many still see as more entertainer than contender. Paul, however, is using the speculation to boost his image, positioning himself as an unpredictable wildcard in heavyweight boxing.
Let's talk about AJ ever so quickly. I watched Jake Paul the weekend. I feel a bit dirty saying that because I'm not a fan of his, but he did say after the fight that he's sort of having DMs or he's dropping text messages to AJ. They're having a chat about a potential fight. What's your view on that, Eddie?
Well, look, he's calling out Gervonta Davis, who is a 135-pound lightweight, and he's calling out Anthony Joshua, that's a heavyweight monster. I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul. Hopefully not literally, but it's that dangerous that, you know, it's a fight that I don't think should really happen, if I'm honest. I would say about Jake Paul, and I've said this in a couple of interviews today, I do think you start after giving him a margin of respect. You know, I think this guy is going through the motions, he's putting the hard spars in. He just went 10 rounds with, yes, a washed up fighter, but a former world champion that did train for that fight, but they're very clever in terms of the opponents that they pick. They're not going to gamble unless the money's out of control. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul wanted to move forward with an Anthony Joshua fight. Honestly, AJ's coming tonight. He's not exactly looking at Jake Paul going, oh, that's my dream opponent. Would he go in there and give him a hiding for, you know, a massive chunk of money? Probably. I'd be saying, yeah, go on. I'd like to see it.
Sports analyst Stephen A. Smith has been one of Paul's toughest critics. He says Jake avoids top active boxers and instead fights opponents past their prime. Smith believes Paul hasn't proven himself against today's best. Paul counters by pointing out his efforts to fight Tommy Fury, who initially turned down offers. When the two finally met in February 2023, Fury handed Paul his first, and so far only, professional loss by split decision.
You are beating up on dudes who don't box. They're not boxers.
I was on Disney Channel while these guys were winning UFC championships.
Okay.
You know, I was playing with Mickey Mouse while these guys were throwing arm bars and winning UFC championships. Everyone's, you know, analyzing my career, critiquing it, paying attention to it from day one, but you can't tell me who was Mike Tyson's first fight. You can't tell me who Muhammad Ali, who was his fourth fight. No one knows, but everyone's seen all of my fights. I tried to fight Tommy Fury. Yeah, I tried to fight Tommy Fury, and he backed out due to a rib injury. Undefeated, young prospect. He comes from the Fury family. You know, his brother's the heavyweight champion of the world. I tried to fight him, and he got scared.
Smith has also blasted Paul's decision to fight Mike Tyson, saying if Jake is serious about the sport, he needs to face opponents closer to his own age and career stage rather than targeting legends with decades of experience.
I can't buy the hype at this particular moment in time. Now, I'll give Jake Paul credit for this. At least he's in the ring with a boxer. But 57 years old is 57 years old. And 57 years old and formally walking into a UFC fight as an audience member, as a patron with a cane, it's hard to me believe a year later that you're going to be in any condition to really, really fight. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. And if you're Jake Paul, here's what I want to say to you. It's Mike Tyson, that's fine. It's a money fight, I get you, and you want to make money. But at some point in time, if you keep telling us that you're taking boxing seriously and you want to be recognized as a big-time boxer / fighter, you're going to have to fight somebody closer to your age, who is a contender at the very least in the sport and who lives with it every single day. Could you please get in the ring with somebody? Pretty please, with sugar on top. I'm interested.
What did you think about the fight, Jake Paul?
I hate it. And Jake Paul's starting to piss me off. Mike Tyson is 57 years old, man. Jake Paul been training with professional boxing trainers for years. He takes the sport very seriously.
Thank you. So let me ask you, that's the question I have, because great kid, great businessman, by the way, amazing. And I know how he does all this, the character and the persona. We keep saying that he doesn't want to be a boxer. He's not a boxer, but then
Jake Paul is a boxer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my point.
Exactly. He's a boxer.
He can fight. I respect it. So go in there against fighters. You should be climbing the ladder towards those other fighters and taking the sport seriously to the point where you're fighting actual boxers. Now he decides to fight a fighter, a real fighter, which is Tyson. But Tyson is 30 years older. Stop this nonsense of going against dudes that either ain't boxing or is 25 years removed from the sport.
So the big question remains, will Jake Paul's size and power overwhelm Gervonta Tank Davis? Or will Davis's skill, speed, and experience finally silence the hype?